Hello.
Then. Now.
Down to the queens.
Episode number 500.
Forever.
Looks like hell froze over.
Without any more further ado,
Together.
let's jump straight into the show. Hello, and welcome to episode number 119 of the TEW IX Challenge Run. We're here for Monday Night Raw for March 10th, 2025. It is Monday Night Raw in Madison Square Garden, the final stop for the Red Brand ahead of the upcoming European tour. SmackDown will be in Barcelona this Friday, but Raw, this show and then next week is in Brussels. We're slowly getting there towards WrestleMania. I have some stuff to say, about the series and about WrestleMania, but I'll say that for the end. But yeah, tonight is the Raw and MSG. We've got a couple of big segments announced, including Becky Stardust, the celebration of life, whatever that entails. Plus, Seth Rollins and CM Punk face-to-face to kick things off. As well, tonight we'll have John Cena's latest Intercontinental Championship Open Challenge. We've got Axiom against Akira Tozawa. And we've got Daniel Bryan against Ludwig Kaiser, which will be our in-ring main event of the night. So yeah, a whole lot more. Got an action-packed episode of Raw and MSG here tonight. So if any more further ado, let's jump straight into the show. CM Punk comes to the ring to kick off the show. He takes a seat down in MSG in the middle of the ring. And he goes, "Madison Square Garden. The champ is here. Now, the last time you guys saw me on Monday Night Raw, it was 2 weeks ago. I defended my WWE Championship against Montez Ford. As I eagerly awaited what the direction would be for CM Punk and for the undisputed WWE Championship at WrestleMania. And then at Roadblock, I got my answer. An old foe of mine reared his ugly head. Seth Rollins. Now Seth, he likes to make it known how much he hates all CM Punk. Seth Rollins loves to make it known that he's still bitter towards me for leaving this place high and dry for 10 years, but quite frankly, I'm ready to move on from all of that. As far as I'm concerned, this CM Punk is here and in living color. This CM Punk is the WWE Champion. This CM Punk, for the first time in his career, is going to main event WrestleMania. But Seth, we're in the world's most famous arena, and I'm not a hard guy to find. So, you want to sell this WrestleMania main event? Get your ass out here, dance your way down to the ring like you so desperately want to, and come toe-to-toe with the man you so desperately want to be. Burn it down. Out comes Seth Rollins. And he comes to the ring, and I imagine the scene is Punk is sitting down, doing the CM Punk seated promo, in the ring. And then Seth comes in, and he just takes the microphone, and he sits opposite CM Punk. So this face-to-face is happening while both men are just sat on the mat. He goes, "There's been 7 months since SummerSlam. 7 months since you showed the world that Seth Rollins was right about you. 7 months since you kicked up your latest fuss like only CM Punk does, and caused a shockwave to ripple throughout this company. That's what you wanted, right? You wanted shockwaves to be sent through this company. You wanted this company to be left in a better place. But see, here's the thing, Phil. Your job's not done. Before I say what I really want to say to you, Punk, I actually have to come out here and give you a compliment. Because you have done an incredible job of making this place better. but not for all the reasons you're going to come out here and say you have. Because you and your antidote, your cronies, walking around with that WWE Championship, it's unified a hell of a lot of people back there who can't stand you, who agree with me, and want to see that championship saved. Now, Cody Rhodes, he couldn't do it. LA Knight, he couldn't do it. AJ Styles, Montez Ford, Damian Priest, you name it, they couldn't do it alone. But now, Punk, that other half of the locker room that's not kissing your ass back there isn't alone anymore. It's united. That locker room believes in me and my vision. But one thing I'm really waiting for, Punk, is my thank you. I'm still waiting for my thank you because after all of this, beneath all of this, inside, Punk, you're still insecure and you're still desperate for that WrestleMania main event. You're desperate for that acceptance from these people to see you in that light. That's what all this is about, right? You're masking it as you trying to mold the next generation. You're masking it as you trying to mold the future of WWE. Well, guess what, Punk? That's not your job. That's Shawn Michaels' job, okay? He's the guy currently tasked with molding the next generation of wrestling. And he is doing a far better job than you are. All you're doing is grabbing a bunch of young pawns who can watch your back and make sure you are where you want to be. Now, Punk, there's something else I wanted to remind you of. You know, last year, you came back to WWE in the Royal Rumble match, and you and I, we sat face to face like we're sitting face to face right now on the road to WrestleMania 40, your first match back in WWE. And you said that after I cost you your main event of WrestleMania, that one day, this time next year, it could be us still once again going at it back and forth, but this time over the WWE Championship, this time in the main event of WrestleMania. And look at us now, Punk. You were right. Here we are. 6 weeks out from the grandest stage of them all, and CM Punk and Seth Rollins are doing the dance yet again, this time for the fate of that WWE Championship, and by and large, the fate of Monday Night Raw and the future of this company on the line. You're gonna walk that aisle because I'm gonna let you walk that aisle. And you know why I'm gonna let you walk that aisle, Punk? It's because on the grandest stage of them all, in the match you've been dreaming of since you were a little boy first getting into wrestling, watching Roddy Piper on the television. That moment you've lived 47 years for is gonna finally happen. But it's not gonna be the dream that you think it is, Punk. It's gonna be a nightmare. Because on that night, CM Punk's aspirations to finally be recognized as the guy, to finally, as you put it, mold the future of this industry, is gonna go up in smoke. Courtesy of your worst nightmare, courtesy of your worst creation. Because there is no Seth Rollins without CM Punk. And at WrestleMania, Dr. Frankenstein, this monster that you created, is gonna crush your heart, your spirit, and your face. Punk just goes, "Are you done? You done, Seth? That's cute." Okay, you know, to bring it all the way back between you and I last year, but I said that this could be the main event of WrestleMania. It is, Seth. That's because you chased your dream. You chased your dream by quitting for 7 months because you couldn't handle CM Punk being in the spotlight. But hey, you're back now. I know I can't really harp on you for quitting, Seth. I'd harp on you. I'd quit too if the place was treating me like crap. Hell, I did for a decade, and you damn sure didn't let me forget it. But I guess it's all fine and good when Seth Rollins walks out of this place, huh? I guess it's all fine and good when Seth Rollins decides he's had enough. When he says he takes his ball and goes home. Is he a cancer too? Or are you still treated like some sort of hero, Seth? Because believe me, there are people out there that hate me, but there are also people out there that hate you, Seth. There are people out there that were happy to see the back of your stupid face and your stupid voice and your stupid dancing and your stupid outfits when you walked out on this place. But here you are back. And yet they still sing your little song. You still have them all in the palm of your hand, Seth. But for how long? 'Cause you're the Messiah. In more ways than one, you used to call yourself the Monday Night Messiah, but at WrestleMania, to these people and to yourself, that's what you think you are, because you think I'm the devil. You think I'm the sinner, and that I'm the person who needs to be rescued from. But Seth, I'm going to give you 6 weeks to think. Do you want this pressure? Do you want the pressure of being the man who has to defeat CM Punk to save WWE? Because you remember what happened last time we faced off, Seth, at WrestleMania last year. You remember who won that night? So Seth, let's just say Cody Rhodes tried, he failed. Everybody else back there's tried. All those people you've said have rallied together to fight CM Punk couldn't get the job done. And you, Seth, are just one man. You're not an exception. As a matter of fact, who's to say you even make it to WrestleMania? And Bronson Steiner and ABC come out. And Seth, he gets ready for a fight. CM Punk cheap shots Seth Rollins from behind with the microphone to the back of the head. He starts stomping on Seth. Bronson Steiner and ABC start joining in. And yeah, they leave Seth Rollins laying a GTS to Seth. And yeah, CM Punk stands tall with his Antidote Boys and with the WWE Championship up high. Seth all alone here tonight. We then cut back to a segment with the D'Angelo family, of all people. For the record, I imagine in my head like this is a commercial-free first hour of Raw, because it's a big show and MSG, there's a lot going on. So we cut from that to the D'Angelo family in their little, I guess, locker room office, wherever they hang out. And Tony D, they're playing cards or some shit at the table. They being Tony, Rizzo, Elektra, Big Bill, and Stax. When Luca comes in, he's got a letter. He goes, "Dom, there's a letter here for you." He goes, "Really? Who is it?" He says, "It's addressed to Riz and Elektra." And it's, "Oh, that's a lot of money, Tony." He goes, "Really, what's it say?" He says, "It's somebody's telling us, meet them, tell Elektra and Riz to meet him outside the women's locker room because they've got some business they need to take care of." And Tony's like, "Riz, Elektra, come here." They walk over. He goes, "We got a job to do. We don't know who it's from. We don't know what it's about. But he's paying us a lot. So you better go check it out." And then the two girls leave to go and see whoever this is that's offered them payment for something. We then cut to Gorilla. Axiom is getting ready for his match with Akira Tozawa. Nathan Fraser's hyping up. He goes, "Right, now's the time, mi amigo. Those WWE World Tag Team Championships, they're right in our grasp, mate. All you've got to do, get past Tozawa tonight, okay? I know Tozawa, he's a tough competitor, one of the greatest tag team competitors of this generation, but you can get it done. When it comes to singles action, you have had more experience in that on the last year than he has." And Axiom's like, "Nathan, don't pile the pressure on me, If I do come up short, there's always another match next week." And Nathan's like, "Yeah, but we won't even need to get to that if you win tonight. Good luck, mate. He sort of like pats him on the back as Axiom leaves. When Christian and the Patriarchy then walk up to Nathan Fraser. Christian's like, supportive friend. I appreciate that kind of loyalty to your friend. But, are you confident in his abilities? And Nathan goes, yeah, of course I am. Christian goes, well, between you and I, we don't particularly want Path of the Dragon getting these opportunities for our tag team championships now, do we? So let's say you and I, out there, can arrange a deal to make sure Axiom wins this match. And Nathan Fraser goes, yeah, that sounds good. Let's do that. And then Christian and Nathan Fraser also go out to ringside to support Axiom. And Axiom, when they come out, sort of like looks I'm confused. And 81, I was expecting a little bit better from that, to be honest, but sure, we'll take it. So Axiom, he looks like he has the match won. He hits the golden ratio on Tozawa, but Tozawa gets his foot on the rope. And Axiom, he's looking frustrated, and Christian sort of like looks across at Nathan Fraser as Nathan Fraser's getting agitated on the outside. And sort of like gestures under the ring, and he grabs a steel chair from under the ring, and he hands it to Nathan Fraser, and like he says, like, slide it in, let him use it. And Fraser slides the chair and he goes, oi mate, use this. And Axiom sort of just picks up the chair and he looks at it. He goes, Nathan, what are you doing? He goes, use it, we can win. And Axiom throws the chair down the ringside. He goes, Nathan, no, we need to win this fair. And then he turns around, Tozawa drops him and hits him with the fucking diving senton. And Tozawa wins. So, yeah, one win apiece between Axiom and Path of the Dragon. So we are indeed going to go to Game 3 in this 3-match series, which will take place next week on Raw in Brussels, where the winners will go on to be the next number 1 contenders for the World Tag Team Championships. But yes, Nathan Fraser, trying to help Axiom out by making him use the steel chair, but Axiom didn't want it. After the match, Nathan gets into the ring and goes, I'm sorry, mate, I thought it would be helpful. And Axiom goes, I understand, but Nathan, if we can't win these championships fair and square, I don't want them. And then Christian sort of hears this. He gets in the ring and he just sort of shakes his head and goes, what a loser mindset, right? This guy's your tag team partner, and that's the sort of loser mindset he's got. And Christian starts jumping on Axiom. Nathan Fraser, obviously he goes to bat for his friend. He starts fighting back with Christian and the Patriarchy. Dominic and Lexis King join the fight. It's 3-on-2. And Path of the Dragon are halfway up the ramp. They're leaving. And they sort of stop. Berto and Tozawa sort of look at each other. They look back at Zergis. They nod their heads. And they rush back into the ring. And they fight off the Patriarchy. Humberto Carrillo sends Dominic Mysterio packing. Akira Tozawa sends Lexis King packing. And Zergis nails a big choke slam on Christian. And they help Axiom to their feet. And the Humberto and Tozawa sort of give a nod to Axiom, and Axiom reciprocates it. And then Nathan Fraser goes to give a handshake to them both, and they just walk out and leave him hanging. They respect Axiom for not using the chair, but fuck this guy who tried to cheat. Then cut to Kathy Kelly outside of the women's locker room. She says, ladies and gentlemen, I'm hearing a lot of commotion inside the women's locker room right now. I saw Adriana Rizzo and Elektra Lopez. They just went inside, and I'm hearing a lot of commotion. Then they walk out, and they're all messed up. And Kathy Kelly goes, ladies, what on earth just happened in there? Because it's none of your business, huh? This is between us, the Dawn, and the Thunder. And he walks away. They walk away, and Kathy Kelly goes, well, I sure would love to try and get in here, but they've locked the door. The door's been barricaded from the other side. They'll be just here, Kathy Kelly. And then walks Becky. Goes, what are you doing? Because I'm on the scene of a breaking story inside the women's locker room. He goes, enough about the women's locker room. Tonight's not about any of the women inside that locker room. Tonight's about me. Okay. Kathy, you and I, we've become very, very close. Good friends. More than friends, maybe. Kathy goes, no. Anyway. You're wasting your time on my big celebration of life. Talking to these girls? You should be talking to me, you know, you should see some of the stuff that's just shown up. I saw trucks after trucks of all of my greatest outfits, all of my greatest accomplishments in my life, including my women's tag team championships, which I desperately will get back, Kathy Kelly. But tonight, in the world's most famous arena, the world's most famous professional wrestler of the women's era. That didn't make sense, Kathy. I meant the world's famous women's professional wrestler of the modern era will finally be recognized for what she truly is, what I truly am. The greatest of all time. And then Lyra comes rushing and goes, Becky, I found you. There you are. Because Bird Girl, I'm celebrating with Kathy Kelly right now. What's the matter? She goes, it's Billy and Kelly. They've been attacked again. She goes, what? Take me to them. And then they rush into her locker room. You know, the doctors are checking on Billy and Kelly. She goes, Stargirl, Kelly, who did this? And then like they're selling injuries, but Kelly's like, it was Cora and Roxy. And Becky sort of is taken aback when she says it, goes, those, I will deal with them later. They've ruined my big day. I can't have my celebration of life without my Kelly and Stargirl. So tonight, we're gonna teach Thing 1 and Thing 2 a lesson, Bird Girl. Tonight will be a night that we'll never forget. John Cena then comes to the ring. And he goes, Madison Square Garden. Oh, the world's most famous arena. And an arena synonymous with the career of John Cena. You know, who could forget 2008 Royal Rumble? Walk down that ramp right there. All you guys, you thought you hated me. You forgot. You were supposed to say that I suck and can't wrestle, but you were losing your mind that night when I came out. It's a great memory of mine. You know, for all the ups and downs we've been through, that was a high of my career. Now, I don't know if we're going to be back in Madison Square Garden this year, so this could end up being my last time in the world's most famous arena. And I wanted to go out, if that is the case, go out with a bang. So, he sort of lays the IC title on the floor. The Intercontinental Championship Open Challenge in the world's most famous arena has begun. Anybody back there, old, new, I don't give a damn. Come out here and let's make another unforgettable John Cena moment in MSG. Out comes AJ Styles. Crowd's losing their minds. AJ gets into the ring. Him and John Cena go face to face. He's smiling at John Cena. John Cena's smiling back. And he takes the microphone. He goes, John, I knew at some point in this retirement tour, you and I were going to do this dance one more time. But I can't think of a better place than right here in Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena, to take part in my favorite activity for one last time. And that is to beat up John Cena. Big pop. John Cena just smiles at him, takes his hat off, takes his shirt off the way only John Cena can, tosses it to ringside. John Cena, AJ Styles one more time in the Garden for the Intercontinental Championship. Gets an 80. Sure, between two washed up hunks. That's fine. But, yeah. John Cena does defeat AJ Styles with the attitude adjustment in 16:23 to make defense number 5 of the Intercontinental Championship. 75 for John Cena, 82 for AJ. He was really off his game. But yes, and still, Intercontinental Champion. The greatest of all time. Big match, Jonathan. Obviously, after the match, AJ gets to his feet. Him and John Cena shake hands. And John Cena leaves the ring as AJ sort of gets applause from the crowd. That's when Finn Balor slides into the ring. And AJ sort of looks annoyed at him. And Finn's like clapping along, you know, cheering the crowd on for chants of AJ Styles, AJ Styles. And AJ sort of just looks at him disgusted. And Finn throws up the too sweet and he goes, "You did good, brother. You know, too sweet me." And AJ looks up at the too sweet. He looks across at Finn. And he just smacks Finn Balor in the mouth. He drops him to the floor like a sack of shit. And he walks out shaking his head, frustrated. You know, he lost tonight. And Finn Balor's still being a douche. But, like, as you can see on Finn's face, you know, I imagine as AJ punches him in the jaw, like, he does start bleeding from the mouth. And, like, you cut back to Finn, he's, like, got his hand in his mouth, you know, he's wiping blood out of his mouth. And his expression changes from, you know, jolly old Finn Balor, jolly old grin Balor, to just an angry scowl, probably over-the-top angry scowl, as AJ walks away. We then cut to Seth Rollins backstage, licking his wounds. We hear some sarcastic clapping, and then Chad Gable walks into frame and he goes, "Bravo, Seth! Bravo, you did it again! The great Seth Rollins, the hero of Monday Night Raw, left laying by CM Punk, the WWE Champion. You know, Seth, if you need help, like you clearly do in this war against Punk and the Antidote, you're looking at a guy who beat CM Punk last year, so I know all about getting the better of CM Punk, but you want to keep insisting on doing this alone." And Seth's like, "Chad, you know, congratulations, you beat Punk, and I haven't beaten Punk yet. But last time I checked, I was the one going to WrestleMania, not you. Last time I checked, I was the one who was going to save the WWE Championship, not you." And then Cody Rhodes walks into frame. He goes, "Chad, if you could give us a moment." And Gable just shakes his head and goes, "You're screwed. Rollins ain't got it. You're screwed. Punk's going to get away with this. He's going to keep that WWE Championship because you're not good enough." And Cody said, "I said a moment." And Seth goes, "What is it?" He goes, "Courageous effort out there, Seth. I really did appreciate it. I loved what I saw out there, the fire in you. I now believe you have what it takes to defeat CM Punk. But defeating CM Punk will take more than just defeating CM Punk. You see, to defeat CM Punk, you have to neutralize the Antidote. You have to neutralize ABC. You have to neutralize Bronson Steiner. Now, I know all too well that guy, he can't be stopped easily. It's going to take more than just one man to take that man out. But luckily for you, Seth, myself and some old friends of yours would like a chat." And then Cody walks away and Seth follows him. We then get to back-to-back backstage promos. The first is, you know, Tiffany Stratton chatting with Mariah May and Anne-Marie Porter about, you know, just stuff. And then Jada Parker's also in the locker room. She goes, "Girls, I don't give a damn about any of this pink-ass Barbie BS. Okay? Listen, tonight we got this tag team match, and I'm out there to go beat some ass. Are you out there to beat some ass too, Tiffy?" Tiffy goes, "Of course. You know, that Intercontinental Championship would look so great on me, and that championship being on me automatically makes it the most prestigious championship here on Monday Night Raw. So anything that can get me closer to that championship, even if it means stepping into the ring and teaming with someone like you, I'll get it done." And Jay goes, "Great, because I want that title too, and I'll smack anyone in the mouth for it, including you and your girls over here. So to stay back and let me handle business." And she walks out, and Tiffany goes, "Sure, handle business." And then we cut to the JFO locker room. We see Mizuki, Marika, and Tam sort of like awkwardly looking across, and Maki looking up, like confused. He goes, "So are you like a singer? Are you friend?" And we go across, and Alexis just there, you know, coldly looking back at her, and she goes, Tonight I'm friend." And he goes, "Okay, great. So, I also sing, and you're like Frozen. Alex goes, yeah, you could say that. He goes, so tonight, you want to build a snowman? Alex goes, no, what I want is the Intercontinental Championship. Mackie goes, well, I want that too. So tonight we're friends? Alex goes, I said tonight we're friends. But if you keep this up, next week we definitely won't be. And she walks off. And then the other J-Flow goes, clearly don't trust Alexa. But Mackie has to follow her out because we do have a tag team match. It's Mackie teaming with Alexa Bliss against Jada Parker and Tiffany Stratton, if that wasn't obvious. It's 75. Because Alexa and Mackie have zero chemistry as partners. Sure, noted. It was a one-off anyway, so it's fine. And, well, if they ever have another tag match, cough, cough, it will have another woman on that team, so it won't matter. But, yes, Alexa gets the win over Tiffany. Alexa Bliss pins Tiffany Stratton with that DDT that she's now doing. Still haven't got a name for it, some sort of Frozen-related pun, I guess. And, yeah. 77 for Tiffany, 50 for Jada, 53 for Mackie, 66 for Alexa. So, yeah, their chemistry really fucked that team. And after the match, Alexa and Mackie celebrate together. Oh, well, Alexa, I guess, just stands coldly looking down at Tiffany. Mackie gives her a big hug. Alexa sort of like looks at her across. And Tatum Paxi rushes in. She attacks both women. She starts laying both women out. She starts also stomping on Jada and Tiffany on the outside. That's when Tegan Knox and Piper Niven emerge from the back. And Tegan is ready to throw hands with Tatum Paxley, and Piper's like, don't bother, it's not worth it. You only end up getting yourself hurt. And Tegan's like, yeah, sure. And then she does rush into the ring at the end of after telling Piper she wouldn't, her and Tatum start throwing hands to all 7 women start throwing hands. Well, no, 6. Piper Niven just watching on awkwardly, just shaking her head. As after Tegan charged in recklessly. And Stephanie Vaquer, we see her on the screen in the back, sort of just watching the fight as all 7 of these women are fighting over her. So she's flattered, I guess. We then see LA Knight pacing around backstage, and he goes, well, the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. This is the sort of place where people make themselves legends. This is the sort of place where if you make it big in Madison Square Garden, then damn sure you've made it big. You can even call yourself a megastar. So I figured, maybe quite silly of me to figure, that an arena like this, the world's most famous arena, would be the perfect place for a YouTube star turned professional wrestler who just wants all his time in the spotlight to show up. Yet here we are in the world's most famous arena, and there's not a damn sight of Logan Paul. I know I was asking a lot, expecting Logan Paul with his busy-ass schedule to show up 2 weeks in a row to a job he's contracted for. But there he is. No showing. Again. His dumbass, stupid-ass energy drink out there being sponsored and plastered all over the ring mat. But there's no sign of Logan Paul in Madison Square Garden. You know who is here every single night? LA Knight. Yeah. So if Logan Paul can't even show up to the world's most famous arena, he damn sure is going to be too busy to show up next week in Brussels. Okay? I don't even know if Logan Paul can locate Brussels. Okay? The only Brussels he knows are those 2 little Brussels sprouts he's got hanging in his pants. Yeah. But you know who will be making the towns the professional wrestling megastar who made this his life 25 years ago and stuck to it through thick and thin. And I've hit rock bottom and I bounced all the way back up. There was a time when it looked like LA Knight would never make it, but it was the grind and the determination and most importantly the cavorca of a megastar that got me here to Monday Night Raw. I didn't take no backdoor route like Logan and Paul did. Okay? So I'm making all the towns. LA Knight's here at Madison Square Garden. LA Knight's gonna be here in Brussels next week. I don't care who it is. Somebody is getting their ass stomped out in Brussels, Belgium, courtesy of the megastar, the one true megastar who shows up week in and week out. LA Knight. Yeah. AA rated match. So we announced, I guess, on social media, Jay White versus Montez Ford for Raw. And yeah, so this match happens. Montez Ford comes to the ring. Jay White comes to the ring. They start wrestling. And Montez Ford is going to get the upper hand on Jay White. He takes him down with, I don't know, a spine buster or some sort of move. And then he goes up top and he's going to go hit the big frog splash. When we see Angelo Dawkins pop up on the TV, on the Titantron. He goes, Tez up here. Tez. The past 2 weeks it's been an expensive hobby coming to watch you do your thing here on Monday Night Raw. I wanted to check out how my tag team partner was going on, but you decided to make it even more personal last week. You got Jakara to put her hands on my wife. That's cool. That's cool, Tez. My wife ain't a wrestler, but you can have your wrestler friends walk around and putting their hands on her. That's cool. You're a role model, Tez. But it's fine. Because, you appear to have left your locker room unguarded tonight, Tez. And, if that's what you can do to my wife who ain't a professional wrestler, imagine what we can do to yours who is. And we see Montez Ford, or Angelo Dawkins sort of look off screen. And then walks Tony D'Angelo. He gives him a big firm handshake and he goes, "Pleasure doing business with you, Mr. Dawkins. I believe the problem's been taken care of." And then Montez Ford is getting fucking frustrated. He's gonna go charge to the back and fight Tony D'Angelo and Angelo Dawkins. Jay White grabs him with a Blade Runner, pins him, and wins the match. 84 for Montez Ford, 85 for Jay White. So yeah, nice win for King Switch here tonight. But after the match, Montez Ford gets to his feet and he storms to the back. But Jay White stays in the ring. Goes, wow, another win here in Madison Square Garden for the King Switch, the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. It's funny that last week, myself and the Ass Boys, the Bang Bang Gang, we defeated your golden boy Cody Rhodes and his friends of the week. Yet there's Cody Rhodes walking around like he's going to try and be the savior of Monday Night Raw and guide Seth Rollins to the WWE Championship when he really should be dealing with somebody whose number he hasn't got, which isn't just CM Punk, it's also me, the Switchblade, Jay White. Now Cody, he's walking around out there, back there, doing whatever it is he's going to do with Seth Rollins. He's focused on a WrestleMania match that isn't even his. Cody Rhodes is spending his WrestleMania season playing cheerleader. But I ain't taking that. I ain't a cheerleader for anyone. I am Switchblade Jay White. And I am coming for Cody Rhodes. That's when Cody's music hits. He does come out. He goes, "So, Madison Square Garden, what do you want to talk about?" Switch, I know a lot about you. I've been a big fan of yours for a number of years now. When I was away from this place and I was keeping tabs on you and we were both in Japan, I always knew you'd make it here one day. And you've blown all of my expectations out of the water. You, over the past few weeks, Jay, have been calling me out. Ever since the Iron Survivor Challenge, you're sticking your nose in my business. Now, sure, I respect that. As a former WWE champion myself, I too, if I was in your position, would want to take that step up and challenge the top dog in the yard. But you see, you really thought that the Rhodes would show up to Madison Square Garden and I'll come out and meet these lovely people. So, Switch, you better watch what you say, because soon you might have to back them up. Jay White's like, "Is that a threat?" Am I being threatened by the American Nightmare? Now listen, Cody, you can patronize me all you want. You can say, oh, before you came here, Jay, I knew you were a big fan. I knew you were going to make it big. But now you ain't a big fan of me, Cody. Because I'm a threat. Okay? And I can see through your politician act. I don't know if Seth Rollins can see through it. CM Punk, he can see through it. Chad Gable, he can see through it. And I can see through it. Okay? Cody, you're so well spoken, you're so eloquent with the way you say these things. It makes these people think that you actually believe them. But I'll say it, I've said it before and I'll say it again. CM Punk is only the WWE champion right now because you proved you couldn't back up your words. Twice. SummerSlam and at the Royal Rumble. And now you're not going to WrestleMania either because the King Switch put an end to that at the Iron Survivor. Yes, I did. So now you're just begging, clinging on to Seth Rollins. I guess hoping for an opportunity. I guess Cody's going to try and do what politicians do best and try and fight his way into that match. Maybe we'll see a good old... Last time WrestleMania was in Las Vegas, hey, Hulk Hogan came out here and he said, doesn't work for me, brother. And he took the champ. Maybe that's what Cody Rhodes is trying to do here right now. But there's one thing he's not going to do, and that's come out here and patronize me. So, Cody, congratulations on getting your spotlight here in Madison Square Garden, but you shouldn't be focused on getting your spotlight at Madison Square Garden. You should be focused on making sure you don't miss WrestleMania. Because, I don't see you in that WWE Championship match now, do I? And he just sort of walks away. And Cody, he goes, as Jay White's leaving, Cody takes the mic and he goes, Jay, you're right. This year, it looks like the main event of WrestleMania is gonna pass me by. But you'll be kidding yourselves if you don't think I'm gonna be at WrestleMania. Jay White, you've had an incredible hell of a year. You debuted at WrestleMania last year, and I'm sure people, when you debuted at WrestleMania last year, the excitement would have been, oh wow, what an exciting time for Jay White in WWE. What's he gonna be like at WrestleMania next year? Because the way I'm looking at it, Switch, you ain't making the show either. So here is what we're gonna do. You talk a very, very big game, Switch. You say, I can't back my words up. Well, it's time to see if you can back up yours. Madison Square Garden, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, officially challenges you, Switchblade, to a match at WrestleMania. Jay White sort of just smiles. He goes, I knew it. I knew it, Cody. You couldn't let your ego get bruised like that, could you? I knew just what to say to get you to react the way I wanted you to. And now look, the ultimate spot at WrestleMania has fallen on my lap. But let's make one thing perfectly clear. 2 years ago at WrestleMania, you finished your story. It was a great moment. Congratulations on that, by the way. Last year, you went back into the main event of WrestleMania. You defended the WWE Championship. Bravo. But this year at WrestleMania, that story's closed. It's going to be a new chapter opening. The chapter where Cody Rhodes gets exposed as the fraud he is. And the Switchblade is going to be the one to expose you. See you in Vegas, my old friend. Try not, to get your head lodged up Seth Rollins' ass before we get there. So yeah, challenge made, and I guess accepted. Cody Rhodes versus Switchblade Jay White at WrestleMania. We then cut back to the hallway, and the medics have got Bianca Belair, hobbling her back to the ambulance. Montez Ford, Shakara Jackson, Ora Mensa there, all checking up on her. Bobby Roode there as well, making sure she gets there all right. And they load her into the ambulance. He goes, "I'll get him back, B. I'll get him back." And then the ambulance drives off, and Montez Ford is all angry. He goes, "Where's that D'Angelo family locker room?" And Bobby Roode goes, "Listen, Tez, I understand you're frightfully frustrated, but we've had a lot of chaos tonight. I could really do without any more." And he goes, "I don't give a damn what you say, Bobby. Where is their locker room?" He goes, it's he points him in the direction. He goes, "It's over there." He goes, "Great. Oro, Jakara, we've got some business to take care of ourselves." And they storm off. Bobby Roode takes a big sigh when Rhea Ripley just walks into frame. He goes, "Wow, Bobby. That's your number one contender in the back of that ambulance, huh?" Bobby Roode immediately decides, goes, "Rhea, I know what you want. But Bianca Belair is the number one contender for the WWE Women's Championship at WrestleMania. She won the Iron Survivor Challenge. You did not." And Rhea's like, "But she's not even going to be at WrestleMania, okay? We don't even know what the matter with her is. She could be brutally injured. She could miss years of action. You don't know that. Bobby, you need a championship match, and I was the runner-up. Put me in." Bobby Roode goes, "This is all very new. We haven't learned a lot of information yet. But maybe by next week we will have, and I guess I'll address the situation then. But for now, Rhea, please get out of my face, or you won't be considered." Rhea goes, "Well, I don't know who else you could possibly find that's more worthy. But okay, Bobby, I'll leave you alone. Enjoy your precious free time." AJ Lee then comes to the ring. She's got a microphone. She goes, "Madison Square Garden, if I could be so quick, I mean to take up too much of your time. I know we've already got a long-ass show tonight. But, last week, I came back, hit a Monday Night Raw, the first time in months, and took out my old proteges, my wrestling daughters, you could call them. Roxy Perez and Cora Jade. And I did so standing alongside another woman who looked up to me getting into this industry, Bayley. Now, Bayley is a woman who I've had a lot of issues with in the past. And last week, we put those all behind us for a common goal. And I want to invite Bayley out here right now to see if we can, continue to hash this out. And Bayley comes out. She goes, "AJ, you're right, I did. We have been through a lot in the recent years. But Cora and Roxy, I feel like they're not your responsibility, they're mine. Cora Jade, specifically over the past few years, has had it out for me. And all you were doing last week was having my back. Now, AJ, we may have had our differences, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm willing to put those behind me to teach a lesson to these two little rascals who were doing all this damage." And then they shake hands. That's when Club Venus's music hits, and Kylie Page has the microphone. She goes, "Oh, here we go again, right? Here we go again. Us, Club Venus, snubbed for a Monday Night Raw because we're apparently not big enough names to be considered for a tag team championship match at WrestleMania. But here are Bayley and AJ Lee, two single stars, two women's world champions, cutting to the front of the line because they've got, personal issues? Honey, there's championships at stake here. We don't give a damn about family drama, okay? If you're gonna be a tag team, be a damn tag team. And don't be too bickering moms." And AJ goes, "What do you think? Bayley, do you want to be two bickering moms, or do you want to be a tag team? Because I kind of want to be a tag team. And you know what tag teams do, AJ? They wrestle in tag team matches. And he goes, well, I happened to come out here in my gear. You come out here in yours, and I see a tag team right there. So, if we're going to put these differences aside for the greater good, and we're going to be a tag team, and we're going to challenge and take Cora and Roxy's prized possessions, we're going to need a warm-up match, right? Come on, girls. Let's really see what you're made of. Let me get Bayley and AJ Lee against the Page Sisters. 79. Huge. What a match. Bayley and AJ do win. And, AJ submits Kylie Page with the Black Widow. 79 for Bayley, 89 for AJ, 55 for Kylie, and a 60 for Kenzie. Yeah. Nice little tag match. I wasn't expecting it to be that good. And there's no positive chemistry either, but there's no negative chemistry, which is more important, between Bayley and AJ. So, huge. We then cut back to the D'Angelo family locker room. And, Tony's in there. Tony and Stax are counting the money. And Adriana Rizzo and Elektra Lopez come back in. Tony goes, man, I forgot how good it was taking care of business of things around here, okay? The word must already be getting round the locker room that, we're looking for some business. Let me hear a knock on the door. He goes, hey, that must be someone else who needs us right now. Tony opens the door. Montez Ford or Mensa and Shakara Jackson are there. Montez Ford fucking sucker punches Tony D'Angelo in the mouth. And EST storm in. They start throwing hands. And despite being outnumbered, they actually hold their own, including one of the people being fucking Big Cass. So they start holding their own. And looks like they're about to actually, lay out the D'Angelo family when Angelo Dawkins charges through the door with imagine a crowbar. Like, he grabs the crowbar, because, the D'Angelo family have crowbars. Like, they just have them lying around in their office, I guess. Angelo Dawkins picks one up, he takes one to the back of Montez Ford's knee, and he starts wailing on him. He, pins him down with the crowbar to the throat as Big Cass choke slams Oro Mensah through a table. And Dawkins goes, Dez, an eye for an eye, fam. I consider us even. Now I know you're probably wondering how I got back here tonight. Well, you're looking at the newest member of Monday Night Raw. See you around, Tez. 'Cause I'll be seeing you back here every single week. And then he walks out. So yeah, we're not going to say it outright, but it's implied that Angelo Dawkins was the trade for Nova going to SmackDown. So yeah, Angelo Dawkins is now on Raw, Nova Nebula is now on SmackDown. 94. Something told me that this match was going to be the best match of the night. That's why I put it as the in-ring main event. And yeah, Daniel Bryan versus Ludwig Kaiser. Gunther is at ringside cheering Ludwig on, watching the match. And Daniel Bryan does submit Ludwig with the S-Lock in 15:26. Immediately as Ludwig taps out, Gunther throws his arms up. He's disappointed. And as soon as Daniel Bryan gets the win, Gunther comes in, boots Daniel Bryan in the face, and attacks him. And starts chopping him in the corner, leaves him laying with a powerbomb, stands over him. And Gunther takes the mic, and he goes, Daniel Bryan, you think you are the best wrestler here in WWE? Well, it's time to prove it. You and me, the Ring General, challenges you, Daniel Bryan, to a match at WrestleMania. Now, you can accept that match and accept that your retirement next year is going to come early. Or you can be a coward and run around like a scared little bitch like these people here in Madison Square Garden. Next week, we have some matches set for Raw as the European tour begins for the Red brand, starting with our trip to Brussels, Belgium, the first ever Raw live from Brussels, and once again, the greatest of all time, John Cena, the Intercontinental Champion, will be hosting an Intercontinental Championship Open Challenge in Brussels. And yeah, that's not the only announced, I guess, a person with an unannounced opponent, as LA Knight will be in action. We don't know who he's facing, but he will be there in Brussels. He told us he'd be there in Brussels next week. And yeah, he's going to be in action on that show. Plus, Game 3 following Akira Tozawa's victory over Axiom tonight. Axiom will face off with Path of the Dragon, and the winners of that match will be next in line for the World Tag Team Championships held by the Patriarchy, and following the post-match brawl from the Women's Tag Team match tonight. 6-woman tag team action, but it's adding more and more women to this fray. Tiffany Stratton, Jada Parker, and Tatum Paxley will team up against Tegan Nox, Mackie, and Alexa Bliss on next week's Raw in Brussels. And a big-time main event has been announced. Cody Rhodes says Seth Rollins had to neutralize Bronson Steiner, and we're going to see if he can do that next week. Seth Rollins, Bronson Steiner, one-on-one here on Raw. Plus, we have 2 new matches announced for WrestleMania. The first, Cody Rhodes and Jay White have been going back and forth on the microphone these past few weeks, and it will all come to a head as the American Nightmare and the King Switch do battle on the grandest stage of them all. Plus, it's cross-branded warfare, 2 of the very best of not only this generation, but any that came before them. A dream match to many. Daniel Bryan, in his last match as a full-time wrestler here in WWE, goes one-on-one with the Ring General, Gunther. Then cut to the ring. Out come Becky and Bird Girl. You know, the ring is adorned with, like, again, Becky Stardust outfits, you know, on mannequins, you know, framed photos of Becky and the gang. I imagine I don't know if I'm going to have photoshopped this, but I imagine they've replicated the Ziggy Stardust album cover. It's Becky and the Bird Girl and everybody. And yeah. And Becky gets into the ring with Lyra, just Lyra. And Becky goes, "Tonight was supposed to be all about me. And it still is all about me, but I can't help but feel like a piece of me is missing. You see, there is no Becky Stardust if she's not constantly surrounded by 3 girls. If Becky Stardust doesn't have her own harem of women, then is she really Becky Stardust? My Bird Girl, my Star Girl, and Kelly. Together we are Becky Lynch and the Misfits. And tonight, as Becky Stardust's celebration of life takes place, I feel broken. I feel like a part of me isn't here. Because Thing 1 and Thing 2, they took out my Star Girl and Kelly. Now, Bird Girl and I, we're going to do our best to keep positive spirits up, okay? Because we love positive spirits. You didn't come here to see Becky Stardust whine and complain, because I don't do that. You came here to see me celebrate myself. But before we get into the procedures, there's actually somebody else I need to celebrate. And this is actually going to come as a shock to a lot of people, since a lot of people don't think I appreciate this person. But I truly believe that without them, there'd be no Becky Stardust. And Lyra's like, let me guess. It's you, Becky. You're going to celebrate yourself and appreciate yourself for all the hard work you put in to be Becky Stardust. And Becky just laughs and goes, no, Bird Girl, it's you. And Lyra looks shocked. She goes, pardon? No. For the past few months, for the past year, basically, I've sort of not been the woman that a lot of you thought I was. I have sort of, in your words, undergone something of a complete personality shift. But Bird Girl, you were there every step of the way. When I was the tag team champions, I wasn't the tag team champions. We were the tag team champions. You stood there and you let me hold both of those championships to make me feel better about myself. And it worked. I felt on top of the world. I felt unstoppable. I felt awesome. I felt cool. I felt sexy. I felt strong. None of that happens if I don't have Bird Girl by my side. And sure, Stargirl and Kelly along the way, they came along and helped pump my ego up even further. But Bird Girl, Kelly and Stargirl, they were just fans of mine, understudies of mine. You and I, we're soulmates. So Bird Girl, I actually want to say something, and I want to give you something. Here. And she hands Lyra a gift. And Lyra goes, what is it? Goes, it's fine, just open it up. And she opens it up, it's like a new pair of Lyra but Becky Stardust inspired wings for her entrance. She goes, I know this whole bird thing means a lot to you, and over the past few months I've taken it away from you so you can just wear what I wear so we can match. But Bird Girl, when we go back for my tag team championships, I don't want to do it with my understudy. I want to do it with Lyra Valkyria. And Lyra's stunned, she just said her name, they're just calling her Bird Girl. She goes, so now I believe there's one more thing left to do. Thing 1, Thing 2, Becky Stardust and Lyra Valkyria are coming for you. That's when their music hits, and out come Cora and Roxy. And Cora and Roxy goes, wow, Becky. It's almost moving to see you, finally come to your senses, I guess. But we all knew that this was all for show and that you were just trying to cling on to past glory. Hell, all of this, Becky Stardust and the costumes and all of it, it's giving Midlife Crisis. Okay, so if you've come to your senses and snapped out of that, congratulations, but we've already got washed up women eyeing up our tag team championships. So, we thought we'd come and give you a gift. And Becky goes, what gift could you possibly give, okay? I know you attacked my Stargirl and Kelly tonight. Roxy and Cora sort of look at each other and goes, yeah, we did. And we did it back on the Netflix premiere too. Guess it's finally time to admit that, huh? But Becky, there's a little chart you made, and you crossed everybody off apart from us and one other person. And I think you're asking the wrong questions here, because it's not really about who attacked Billy and Kelly. I mean, that could have been anybody. But it's the question of both tonight and back in January. How? I mean, you're Becky Stardust, the megastar, the global icon. Your locker room is tightened with security. How could we possibly have got in? Becky goes, I'm not here to deal with your mind games, okay? I checked the entire list and you were the only culprits that it could have possibly been. I checked everybody else up. It wasn't my dentist, it wasn't Triple H, it wasn't any of those. They only had you, and I had And she sort of stops. And she sort of turns around. And Lyra sort of just glares back at Becky. Becky goes, Bird Girl? Lyra? You didn't happen to, let Cora and Roxy into my locker room, right? And Lyra's was like, Becky, of course not. What did you say? We're soulmates? You know, I listened to you pour your heart out just now, and is it okay if I respond and appreciate Becky Stardust on this big night? Becky goes, well, I didn't accommodate for it, but sure, if you've got some things you want to say, flatter me. She goes, growing up as a young wrestler in Ireland, we all had pressure to make it to WWE, and it was because of guys like you and Finn making it to WWE from our island. And you came by our gym countless times, and you inspired me. But everywhere I walked, it was, Lyra, do you want to be the next Becky Lynch? And for years and years and years, yes, that's the dream. Of course I want to be the next Becky Lynch. So when the opportunity came to team with my hero, yes, I'll take it. Even if it means wearing these stupid outfits and placating to your midlife crisis and your identity crisis because you realize that your time is running up and you've got to find something else to cling on to keep yourself relevant, and that thing just so happened to be me. And you diminished me for months after months, but I kept waking up and telling myself, it's fine. It's Becky, you know. Be appreciative of what you have, you know. You're teaming with your hero. You're friends with Becky Lynch. Until one day it was all just too much. And that day, Becky, is today. No longer do I want to be the next Becky Lynch. I don't want to be Bird Girl. I'm gonna be me. The first and only Lyra Valkyria. Bang! Microphone smashed to the head of Becky. Crowd is in shocks. How could Bird Girl do this? She throws Becky into like one of the frames. It smashes everywhere. She takes a bunch of the costumes and she like rips them up. Maybe even like wraps one of the legs around one of them and like starts choking Becky out. Corbin and Roxy on the ramp so like look at each other giggling. And Lyra picks up Becky. She nails the Nightwing through a table that's in the ring. And she sort of just stands still. She takes the wings that Becky gave her, you know, puts them on and starts like posing over Becky with the Becky Stardust wings on. And that's how we end the show. 94. Yeah, pretty good show. This has been going on for like an hour and 7 minutes according to my recording. But yeah, jam-packed episode of Raw, you know, with Road to WrestleMania, baby. That's what we're gonna get. But yeah, I'll see you on the other side now for Heat. Heat kicks off with a Zoe Stark promo. She comes through and she goes, so I've, for the first time, had a lot of people blowing me up on social media saying, Zoe, how could you do this? How could you turn on Saul? How could you turn on Saul? Here's why I turned on Saul, okay? Now, Saul, ever since she was in NXT, a lot of you people have looked at Saul Ruca as a future star here in the WWE Women's Division. Hell, a lot of you people looked at our tag team between me and Saul and said, you know, Zoe's just there to make Saul look good. She's there to make sure Saul gets a nice easy coast onto the main roster because Saul is the megastar. Saul is the star, is the future world champion. And Zoe, she's just, you know, the good hand, the good woman to stand around and make sure Zoe can get that tag in so Saul Ruca can look cool and show off and be really, really cool and awesome. Saul, she has all of the raw materials to be a big player here in WWE, but she's not gonna quite hone them herself. And I was tired of being the iron caster that was gonna iron these tools out of Sol Ruca. Okay, Sol, she's too busy surfing and posting beach pictures and doing gymnastics on the beach, and you people only really care about what I did to Sol Ruca because you think Sol Ruca's prettier than I am. Well, it's fine. Being pretty and looking good on a beach isn't going to get Sol Ruca world championships here in WWE. Being ruthless is. And maybe when Sol wants to show her face around here, she can step into the ring with me. And I'll show her what ruthless really looks like, because this is Zoe Stark's time. And I'm gonna be the one to make you all eat your words and put an end to your precious little future world champion once and for all. And then Zoe gets a quick match. She defeats B-Fab with the Z360 and 842. 63 for Zoe, 55 for B-Fab. We then get more women's action as... Oh yes, of course we get women's action. It's Heat. Shotzi Blackheart gets a win. She defeats Indy Hartwell of a Fright Night in 826. 64 for Shotzi and a 57 for Indy. And we then also see women's tag team action from SmackDown as Queendom Omega's Yoko Uehara and Saya Kamatani get a tag team victory over Chase U's Hams Katana and Haley Poole. 61 for Saya, 72 for Yoko, 52 for Haley, and a 78 for Hams. And our main event is Shayna Baszler up against Hikaru Shida. Gets an 84. And yeah, apparently a lack of psychology to go this long, but I trusted the two to have a banger, and they had a pretty good match, yeah. And Shayna does pick up the victory for Kirifuda Clutch. 88 for Shida, 84 for Shayna. Yeah, a very quick episode of Heat outside of the Zoe Stark promo this week, you know. That's really the only main story on Heat right now, because most of the other women's stories going on are happening on Raw and SmackDown and ECW. So yeah, we've got our own little Heat thing here, the Zoe Stark, Sol Ruca stuff. And yeah, you know, everything else is getting big boy TV this week. But yes, that ends this very quick episode of Heat. Gets us a 79. Yeah, what matters more is what you thought of the show. Do let me know what you thought in the comments below. And yeah, I said like we're like closing in on WrestleMania, and I as I've made it perfectly clear in most videos since then, well, it really annoyed me that I was this far behind, but I've come to accept it now. There's a lot of reasons why that is, but needless to say, there was a time like when I was really stressed, like about being so far behind, that I actually at some had a brief consideration of just ending the save at WrestleMania, like. But I've now, you know, I've had a think. I've sort of just relaxed, and like it's not a big deal at all. Like, nobody cares other than me. And since then, since I sort of realized, you know, to not have the pressure on me, like, I enjoyed a lot of the stuff I was booking, like, heading into Roadblock and the Rumble, but doing it felt like a chore. Like, I wasn't really enjoying recording and, like, booking and playing and doing stuff. It felt like, oh, I've got to do it all because I don't want to fall behind. But these past couple of shows I've done when I want to do them, and like I realise there's no rush. So yeah, and since then I've fallen back in love with it and enjoy everything again. And I don't just enjoy doing it; I enjoy, you know, what I'm doing and everything. So yeah, long may we continue, because I have a lot of fucking good shit that I would have been annoyed if I didn't get to do after WrestleMania. So thankfully that weird thought came and went, but we are still chugging along. We're doing it at our own pace, I guess. But that being said, I am off work this week, so do expect like a decent amount of new episodes up this week. But yeah, you know, it can't be helped, and we're gonna rock and roll towards WrestleMania at our own pace. A good part of being behind is that the DLC with the Mostly Machine Guns and Julia and Stephanie for 2K is coming out like tomorrow as I'm recording this, so I won't have to use cores for the WrestleMania video because they'll actually be in the game, and I'll be able to use the actual WrestleMania arena that someone's put on Community Creations instead of making a custom one. So, yeah, there's silver linings to everything, and I'm no longer bound by my arbitrary need to be on time and be caught up for the Rumble and Mania, and it's just a relief, I guess, to myself that I can sit here and just chill, do it when I want to do it, and enjoy it, most importantly, because if I'm not enjoying it, then it comes across. But as you can tell, this fucking episode went like an hour and 7 minutes, so I was very clearly passionate about the shit I booked on this show. But that's my rambling over. I'll see you next time for ECW. See you then.